Hello and welcome to the preview for the second round of the GT World Challenge Europe powered by AWS season from Brands Hatch, and it's the first round of the Sprint Cup series, the championship within the championship. Welcome to the preview where we're going to give you a little bit of a run through of the topics and hot things you need to know about for this weekend. I'm joined by SRO media writer Jim Weeks. I'm Tim Fullbrook, and Jim, from a totally different weekend at Circuit Paul Ricard to here at Brands Hatch, it's an intense change, but something really to look forward to and quite a spectacle.
Yeah, this is an event that drivers and fans alike really love. And from the fans' perspective, this is an event that attracts so many people. Brands Hatch, quite a small venue in comparison with, say, Spa-Francorchamps or Monza, but that just makes it feel even more packed. And I think we're going to have some really good weather this weekend. 2 races on Sunday, so it's going to be a good one.
Different weekend ahead of us, from a 6-hour endurance race at Circuit Paul Ricard to the first of the Sprint Cup race weekends. It's a championship within a championship, also forms a part of the bigger overall title in 2025. But Jim, the Sprint Cup weekend, now can you give us a brief overview of the format for new fans to the series, but also the returning fans who are back again to watch another great season?
Yeah, so the important number in Sprint is 2. It's 2 drivers per car, it's 2 qualifying sessions, and it's 2 races. The races are 60 minutes long. There's a mandatory pit stop with a driver change halfway through the race between the 25th and 35th minute. Both races on Sunday, and it's equal points, so they're both as important as each other.
And absolutely, and the same 4 classes as well feature in the Sprint Cup. So if you watched the previous round, the GT World Challenge Europe, same categories, same cars, and largely the same drivers and teams that you know and love. At 3.9 kilometres, Brands Hatch is the shortest track on the European schedule, and it's remained largely unchanged over the years, Jim. There's that real no margin for error feel to this track. It's old school, and the drivers love it, but because of that, it kind of makes it quite an important weekend in terms of risk. It's quite the spectacle to watch the racing here, and particularly watching the drivers, you know, really hammering it around.
Yeah, it's one of those circuits where drivers are at max push all the time. There's no time to relax around this circuit. Another thing to say about Brands is quality is super important here. Getting a good grid position is super important. The race has almost always been won from the first 2 rows of the grid. I think we had an occasion 2 years ago where the Tresor Tempo Audi won from 7th with a good pit stop strategy, but aside from that, you really need to nail qualifying and be up the front to win the race.
Yeah, of course, and we're walking down Paddock Hill Bend, probably the most iconic corner at Brands Hatch. Got to deal with this, you know, up to 80 times across the 2 races. You're going to get more than 40 laps out of a 1-hour race if it runs largely green. And also on lap 1, 30 cars trying to squeeze down Paddock Hill Bend is always a bit interesting. Now, it's nice to be breaking records early in the season, Jim. 10 manufacturers committed to the Sprint Cup in 2025. A sign of not only the health of the championship as a whole, but particularly the popularity of the Sprint Cup.
Yeah, 10 manufacturers, as you say. This is the first time we've ever had 10 brands on a Sprint Cup grid. We last had 9 in 2016. So the grid really has expanded this year. 30 cars for Brands Hatch. We haven't had that for a long time either, and we're missing a whole class. The Bronze Cup isn't here. Not enough space to fit them in, so they'll arrive at Zandvoort. So yes, the Sprint Cup is booming this year.
And who do you think we should be looking out for? I mean, to kick things off, I think really is these guys we should be watching, the number 48 Winwood Mercedes-AMG, Mara Engel, Lucas Howard, reigning champions. Their season 2024 really kicked off here at Brands with a victory in race 2. And also the race winners from Paul Ricard, the number 32 Team WRT BMW. I don't think you can look past those 2 cars as being in the fight for the overall win.
They are the obvious favourites. They were 1st and 2nd last year, and there's not really been much change. Kelvin van der Linde replacing Dries van Thor in 32, but that's fairly like for like. I think you also have to look at AF Corsa Francorchamps Motors, who brought 2 Pro cars this year, 2 Ferraris, really strong lineups. I think they're going to be in it. And don't sleep on Emil Frey Racing, the number 14 Ferrari, Ben Green and Constellapalainen. They were very impressive last year. Not the biggest name, but I think they're going to be involved in this championship fight.
Now, Jim, I've got a stat for you here. Of the 10 seasons that Brands Hatch has been on the calendar, in 7 of those, the driver that's won the race overall has gone on to win the overall title that year. So Brands Hatch has actually become a bit of a barometer, a kind of a crystal ball, almost, as to how the season is going to play out.
Well, even better than that, if you expand it across all of the classes, a class champion from every season has won at Brands Hatch. I think that partly reflects how important it is to be successful in sprint. If you're going to win the overall title, you need to be racking up points to get that done, and there's no better way of doing that than being P1.
Absolutely, so all the more reason to watch the racing this weekend. Of course, you can catch that live and free on the GT World YouTube channel. We've got support series in action as well with the McLaren Trophy Europe, who are making their first appearance in the UK. Keep up to date with everything on our social media channels, and as always, we hope you enjoy the race weekend.